Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, welcome. My name's Monica, and in today's video I'm going to go over the second half of my reading for October. Now this is like the 30th, and I'm cutting it off on the 30th because tomorrow's Halloween and I'm going to be watching Christmas movies. Actually, no, I'm just joking. I'm really not going to be watching Christmas movies. I'm going to be watching Halloween with my daughter because she really wants to watch a horror movie, and so she's old enough and okay enough that we're gonna watch the original Halloween tomorrow. So I wanted to get this filmed and up to you for Saturday. Besides that, I read 49 books in the month of October, and I do count DNFs because I give it to 5 chapters or to 100 pages. That's a length of a novella. So I figured that if I can give it a length of a novella and it's just not working for me, and some I've actually DNF'd further along than that, then I'm going to count it towards my reading because I could have been reading a novella. So I don't feel bad about that, and that's why I do count DNFs. Now, there was one that I did try, and it was Soul Searching by Lila Sage, and I barely got through the first chapter and I was like, no, this is not going to be for me. Did not count it, did not put it on my Goodreads. But let's just get on to my reading because that's why we're here. So as I said, in October, I read 49 books. I had 10 5 stars, 6 4.5 stars, 15 4 stars, 3 3.5 stars, 4 3 stars, 1 I did not rate, 5 DNFs, and 5 rereads. So it was a little over the board, but actually not really. Like, there were some really good reads, and then there were some points where it just, nothing was working. So out of those 49 books, I read or listened to 14 ALCs or ARCs. I had 47 audiobooks and 2 ebooks, no physical. So for genre or subgenre breakdown, I'm actually pretty proud of myself. I actually got out of my comfort zone a little bit in October. So I read 4 historical romances, 17 contemporary romances, 2 sports romances, 2 romantic suspense, 1 mafia romance, 2 dark romances, 10 paranormal romances. I mean, it's October. 2 romanticises, 1 cozy mystery, 5 historical fiction, 2 books that was either a thriller or a horror, and actually 1 was a thriller and 1 was a horror, and 1 nonfiction book. But I feel like I did pretty good mixing up my genre and getting something other than romance in there. So let's go to the books that I do want to talk about a little bit, but there's a couple that I'm not going to really talk about. I'll just tell you what they are and what I rated them because I had them in a vlog. But let's get into the books. So the first book that I read in the second half of October is Booked for the Holidays by Erin Hawkins. This is a holiday novella, and this was an ALC from Must Love Audio, and it was very cute and spicy. This one is about Juniper and Liam. Liam is Juniper's brother's best friend, and he's also British, and Jason Clarke did a fantastic job as with his British accent. So Juniper owns a romance-only bookstore, and a year ago they kissed and he freaked out and ran off. He couldn't stop thinking about her, and she was just really embarrassed. And so this Christmas he's come, and there's a bit of a secret identity thing that happens in there, but he's like, I'm back, and he proves himself to her over and over again, and I absolutely loved it. It's a great little novella. It had the holiday vibes, it had the spice, it had the plot, it had the character growth. Victoria Conley and Jason Clarke, they did a fantastic job with the audiobook. Would recommend you picking this up in November and December. It is a great little holiday novella. The next book I read, and it was for the historical fiction readathon, and it was The Bewitching by Sylvia Morano Garcia, and I gave this 4 stars. If you want to know my actual thoughts, I will link to that video down below. I will also be linking my the first part of my reading for October down below as well. The next book I read is Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. I gave this 4.5 stars, and it's also in that vlog, and I read it for the historical fiction readathon. There is another one that I did read. It's in that vlog, and it was not I'll just let you watch that vlog if you want. So moving on. The next book I read was an ALC from NetGalley. I know, I'm shocked. I actually had more than one from NetGalley. I was so pleasantly surprised with NetGalley in the month of October. This one is An Error for Christmas by Caitlin Cruz. She's a new to me author. This one is Harlequin Presents. It is short. It is a secret baby, and it's one night stand to more holiday romance. And Hannah had a passionate night with Anton Luca in New York 3 years ago, and it was on the worst week of her life professionally, and she is fired, moves to Italy, doesn't know who her one night stand is, realizes she's pregnant, raises her son Dominic, and he's like 2.5 by the time Anton Luca comes back in after he buys the hotel that she manages. He wasn't just a stranger in a bar, he was actually looking for her, but he never actually told her who he was. Yeah, but I had a lot of fun with this. It had a lot of holiday vibes. It had Secret Baby, which I really like Secret Baby, so I gave it 4 stars. I had fun with this. It was spicy. It was kind of like a soap opera, and it had a secret baby. So I'm going to pause this and put my light on now that the sun keeps going in and out. So hold on a minute. So the next book I read was The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Ali Carter. I gave this 4.5 stars. I absolutely adored this book. It was like the book version of Clue, but this one is about Maggie and Ethan. They're both mystery writers, and they went to Eleanor Ashley's country home in England for Christmas. And Maggie has always loved Eleanor Ashby. Eleanor disappears, and they have to solve a mystery of who is trying to kill Eleanor, or if she's already dead, and everybody is a suspect. And Ethan and Maggie team up. There has some bit of a history that was kind of interesting, where they had some miscommunication, and she thought one thing and he thought something else, and Eleanor kind of knew this and brought those two together. Absolutely had a lot of fun with this. The audiobook was fantastic, and it is on Hoopla, so if you want to check it out for the holiday season, I'd actually recommend this one. And I'm just going to say this now, I will recommend every single book that's in this video because, well, this is my favorite video. Like, I don't talk about books I don't like. So let's go on to the next book that I read, and I had an ALC from Must Love Audio and from Samantha Young, and it is Half Light Harbor. This is the first book in her new Scottish Isles series. This one I gave 5 stars. I absolutely had so much fun with this book. This one's about Ramsay McRae. He is cold, he's aloof, and he has a very secret past. Think James Bond, but swoony, because James Bond is not swoony. But Ramsay McRae, he's a little swoony. Anyway, Tierney just moved from New York to the sleepy Scottish little town after her parents had passed away in a tragic accident, as it looked like it was an accident. She meets Ramsay, who is her contractor, and he's stoic, he's Scottish, and he's 13 years older than her, and the chemistry is off the charts with those two. They had a fiery, passionate love affair, and he had a beautiful dog named Akiva, and even Akiva falls for Tierney. Really, choices were made by flawed characters, and it layered the characterization. It made him feel more interesting and more realistic. Ramsay was very, very protective over Tierney, and Tierney was a fantastic friend, and she really knew how to deal with Ramsay and his stuff. I really loved the suspense plot. I really loved the romance. They were stuck on an island together overnight. That happened in this book. This book just really hit for me. I love Samantha Young. She's starting to become one of my favorite authors of all time. The audiobook is fantastic. It was Stella Hunter and Shani. Stella Hunter, her Scottish accent was perfect. Well, it was perfect to me, but I'm not Scottish, so take that with what you will. But I thought she did a phenomenal job, and same, of course, with Shane East. So then I got an arc of If You Claim Me by Helena Hunting. This is book 5 in our Toronto Terror series. This one is Connor, Grace, and Dread. So her name is Mildred, but she hates her name, so she goes by Dread. She finds out that she owes a lot of money in back rent to her landlord. She inherited the apartment as well as the rent control from her grandmother. Apparently, that rent control was not supposed to be inherited, so she owes quite a bit of money. Connor Gray steps in. He's the hockey villain. Everybody at the team hates him, and people in his social circle even don't like him for weird and stupid reasons. But Connor's favorite person is his grandmother, and his grandmother loves Dredd because Dredd works as a librarian, and so that's where Connor's grandmother and Dredd met, and his grandmother is Lucy. So Lucy is starting to feel her age, and so she's having some health problems. So Dredd and Connor get married, so Lucy can have her as a granddaughter for the remainder of her life, and this would put Dredd into a better financial position where she can keep her grandmother's apartment. Dredd and Connor both had very different, but neither was worse than the others. They both had really bad childhoods. This was definitely a little forbidden because Dredd's best friend is Flip, and Connor and Flip are very much enemies. And anyway, they end up talking it out and stuff, but I really loved the romance. I loved the character growth. I loved how Connor really was very swoony. This was talking about foster care and how the foster care system works and just different things. There's nothing I did not love about this book. We had some characters from her different series. So we had Kodiak, and we had Quinn Romero, that's Lance's son, and because Quinn plays on the same hockey team as Connor and Flip. So I really, really enjoyed this one. I gave it 5 stars. The story just sucked me in. I had a lot of fun with this. I would recommend it when it comes out. I think it is coming out on the 6th. Yes, it's coming out on the 6th. So let's move on to my next read, and it is Born on Fire by Nora Roberts. It is book 1 in her Irish Born trilogy, and this one, I actually thought this was going to be paranormal. It wasn't. It's actually contemporary, and I didn't realize about it, but this one is about Maggie. She's an Irish artist, and she's feisty. She's very, very feisty, and she has a very complicated family life. Her father just died, and in walks Rogan Sweeney, who's an art dealer and agent, and he loves Maggie's work, and he's been trying to get her to work with him so he can sell her artwork, because she's a glass blower. They end up having a passionate love affair, falling in love, and while some of her family secrets come out. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I gave it 4 stars. This is a very solid contemporary romance. And then I went on to the next book in the series, which is Born in Ice. This is book 2. And this one is about her sister Brianna. And Brianna has this American writer who's kind of think like Stephen King, but he writes thrillers. His name is Grayson, and he comes from the United States to stay at her bed and breakfast, which she runs, for a quiet place to work, and it is their romance. They have a lot of chemistry. They are very patient with each other for different things, but they needed to communicate more. The subplot was sad and not okay, because there's a thing with the subplot with her mother, and it really, really broke my heart for Brianna and her sister. And then we find out more stuff. So this is really a lot of family drama in this book series, in this trilogy. I liked book 1 better than book 2, but then I moved on to book 3, which was Born in Shame. This is the last book in the Irish Born trilogy, and I gave this one 4.5 stars. This one was definitely my favorite. This one is about Shannon and Murphy, and I can't really tell you about Shannon's story or character because it will spoil things. She's American, and she comes to Ireland to see where her father was at. And she ends up meeting Murphy, who is best friends with Brianna and Maggie. And it is love at first sight. This one has a little bit of magical realism in it, where it's mythical past lovers, and that's how Murphy really makes his decisions. And Shannon, she falls in love with Murphy, but in a different way. But the thing that really sold me on this one was Murphy. He was such a great hero. He was not a typical Nora hero, and if you know what I'm talking about with typical Nora heroes, you know. So I really enjoyed this. It ended very well. I would recommend this trilogy. It's definitely really good, and it's a great contemporary romance from her. So, and then I read Ghosted by B.K. Borston, and I gave this 5 stars. This one, from the first 2 pages on, I was here for it. This one feels like a Hallmark movie, but in a ghost world like Dead Like Me. And I don't know if you know what Dead Like Me. I will find a trailer or something to show you what Dead Like Me is, because most people don't know what Dead Like Me is. It is an old HBO or Cinemax series about a girl who gets killed when a space station was orbiting, and the toilet seat crashes down and lands on our girl, and she ends up becoming a Grim Reaper. And the Grim Reapers end up meeting together all the time at it's kind of like the off-brand of Waffle House, and it was a lot of fun. I loved that series. Unfortunately, it only had 2 seasons, and then it was canceled. It was very, very funny. It was a lot of satire, and the way B.K. Borisson wrote this just reminded me of that. Especially the character Isabel reminded me of that, of some of the characters in that show. So I was like, I wonder if she actually has seen that show, because most people haven't. Anyway, this one is about Nolan, who is our Christmas ghost, and he's the ghost of Christmas past, and he goes and visits Harriet, and he thinks that Harriet has done something naughty in her life, and if she doesn't straighten up, then she will forever be doomed, right? Because we all know A Christmas Carol. But however, Harriet is actually a good person, and I really loved how she was like, you broke into my house, and he's like, no, I didn't. I appeared, and she's like, no, you broke into my house. I loved how they met. It was very funny. I loved the humor. There was a lot of places where I just laughed out loud. There was a lot of parts where I just swooned. So Nolan is such a great hero. I absolutely loved him. I loved the romance that he had with Harriet and the way they had their first kiss and everything. This was very cozy. I loved the magic system, and I loved how everything came together there at the end. All the characters were lovable, and I laughed out loud, and I was smiling through this whole book, and I just really, really enjoyed it. And I would recommend this one for the holidays if you haven't read it yet. But my gosh, that one was so good. It's my favorite read of October, and it's a holiday read. So take that as you will. Then I got an ALC of When We Breathe. This is book 4.5 in the Black Wells of Montana series from Kristen Proby. This one I gave 4 stars, and it is an MMF, and it's a true MMF situation because Adam and Gabe are married, and then they meet up with Alex, who is our heroine, at a bar. They have a one-night stand. All 3 of them have a one-night stand together, and all of them want more. And it's their story. It is a short novella. There is mention about past abuse because Alex's father really abused her, and she can't even be near animals because of all the bad things he did to animals in front of her. Plus, storms just really freak her out because of what her father did to her. And I really liked how all the characters were equal in their relationship, and they all had their own voices, and the audiobook was fantastic. The narrators were Aiden Snow, Sean Masters, and Avery Karras, and they did a fantastic job. I would recommend you check this out if you've read The Black Wells of Montana, or if you're just looking for a short, spicy, because I would say it's about 75-80% spice, and the rest is plot, but there's a lot of spice in this one. So the next book I got was Sleigh Bells and Snowstorms by Claire Kingsley. This is a holiday romance, and it's romantic suspense in a small town, and I absolutely adored every minute of this book, and I gave it 5 stars. This is about Jensen Lakes. He is a professional thief and is hired to steal back a necklace for the rightful owner. He ends up in Telecom, Washington, where you have your crazy people and and the crazy squirrels. And that's where he meets Natalie Thatcher, who is a nurse, and she lives with her sister and her niece in their parents' old house, and they have a place over the garage, a little apartment over the garage that they rent out for a B&B, and Jensen has to have a place to live while he's tracking down this jewel thief, and so he rents out their little apartment over the garage from the Airbnb. So that is the setup. So the narrators are CJ Bloom and Shane East, and you know they did a fantastic job. So anyway, Natalie ends up helping Jensen try to find the stolen necklace in the necklace thief because he sticks out like a sore thumb. Frankly, he is very suave, he's very upper class, and they're jeans and t-shirts type of people, and not Rolexes and tuxedos. And as they are going through their investigation, they fall in love. Oh my gosh, he falls hard for her. I absolutely loved it. I would recommend that you either listen to the audiobook, read the ebook, or purchase the paperback, whatever. This is definitely a book that you need to have on your holiday TBR in November, in December. So moving on to the next ALC that I got was Love You Mean It by Laura Pavlov. I got this from the author herself, and I gave it 4 stars. This is the second book in the Blushing series. I actually thought this was a re-release. I didn't realize it wasn't a re-release. That because she has something coming out in December, or November. And I don't, does she have something? She has a lot coming out. Like, she has a lot to do within the next couple months. So I was actually sort of shocked that she had something coming out this close. Anyway, this is a cozy small town, grumpy sunshine, single dad, and enemies to lovers romance. So Violet's house floods, and she ends up staying in Charlie's guest house. Charlie is a single dad to Harper, and Harper's mom is not a good person, and they banter a lot back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I really like the banter. It just went on a little too long. So there's some things that Violet thought or did that kind of made me question her sanity a little bit. And because she just jumps to some interesting conclusions. That's why this wasn't a 4.5 or 5 stars, because I was like, okay. When they get together, they have a lot of chemistry. I really loved the romance. I loved how Violet and Harper, who is his daughter, how they bond, and where she really starts to care for Harper and for Charlie. And I really had a good time with this one, and the audiobook was fantastic. It was Aaron Mallon and Connor Crayas, and those two just always seem to work for me. So this one is coming out on the 4th. So you can go get it then. So the next book I want to talk about is A Holly Brown Christmas by Samantha Chase. She's a new to me author, and this was an ALC from NetGalley of all places. And I gave it 4 stars. I really had a good time with this one. It is told in 3rd person, and this one had a lot of family drama. This is heavily on the family drama. Holly works for Luca's family at their family company, and Luca's parents are fighting to the point where they're about ready to get a divorce. And so he's trying to plan their family's Christmas party for the company, and his mom basically goes off saying she's done. So Holly steps in. She's always had a crush on Lucas and helps him, and it is their romance, and they fall in love while they plan this Christmas party, as well as parent trapping his parents so they can start talking. And it was a lot of fun. I really had a fun time with this. It was short, it was sweet, there was enough space in it, it had a lot of holiday cheer, and it had a lot of family drama, okay? And the audiobook was performed by Sarah Wellborn, who did a really good job. So this next book was on my historical romances that I wanted to read in 2025. And it is In Want of a Viscount by Lorraine Heath. I originally was going to DNF this within the first chapter because that first chapter was just dragging me down, right? But then, oh Johnny. So the beginning was slow. After Johnny and Lenora reunited after their first kiss, because they had a first kiss where they didn't know each other, and it was at, I want to say, the Regency version of a sex club. They reunite and they just can't stop kissing each other, and he pines for her and she pines for him, and I love her character. She's feisty, she's dynamic, and she's very independent, and he just always wants to do the right thing. His father was a piece of crap. Her mother was also a piece of crap, but his father was just on the next level of like he deserves to burn, okay? I was hovering around a 4 and 4.5 stars for this one. What pushed into the 5 stars for me was the ending. That ending. It was him going after her the way he did. Oh my gosh. What he did for her and how he wanted to help her. Not because he could, but because he loved her for her and did not try to change her. Everything. He is everything. Johnny is everything. And Lenora is just such a fantastic heroine. There was a lot of longing in here, and a strong heroine, and a generally good heroes. Like this one. Thank you, Christy, for recommending this one. I'm so glad I did not DNF it within that first chapter, and I'm so glad because this is about chapter 2 or 3 when it started really picking up for me, and I was like really invested in the story. So I would recommend that one wholeheartedly, especially if you want the pining. He just wanted her so bad, and he couldn't stop himself. That was 5 stars. And then I went on to My Dark Ever After by Gianna Darling. This is book 2 in her dark mafia romance duology. This is the ending to what started in My Dark Fairy Tale. And we pick up a couple months after where the last book ended. And this one is about Genevieve and Rafa, and they get their HEA. And Genevieve grows up a little bit and decides that she is okay with being in the mob and that she's okay to be married to a mobster. And this one also had a lot of family drama, just like in Want of a Viscount, but in different ways, okay? So his family is not good. Her family is not good. And there's kidnapping, there's torture on page, there's a lot of flowery language, and there is a lot of spice in this one, a lot of smut. But I really liked Rafa. He wanted her so much. He pined for her when she just was like, I just don't know. And for me, it was more of the back and forth that kind of bothered me a little bit with her, because she just couldn't make up her mind until she did. But when she made up her mind, she had to deal with certain things. And I loved the twists and turns. There was a lot of twists and turns in this one. And I had a lot of fun with this. This was a very solid series for me. I think I gave the first book 5 stars because I just really, really had a good time. I loved it. Anyway, so I would recommend this duology as a whole if you haven't started it. They're both out now, so you could actually get to it. So the last book I want to talk about, and I just finished this late last night, but I put it on for early this morning because I just didn't feel like getting up and writing my review. And this one is The Defender by Anna Wong. This is the second book in her, I want to call it the Gods of the Games series. And I think there's like one more coming out. I gave this one 5 stars. It didn't beat Good Spirits, but it was very, very close. This one had such a good suspense plot to it. This one is about Vincent and Brooklyn. Brooklyn is Vincent's coach's daughter, and he is French, and he is a footballer at a Premier League in London, and she is a nutritionist for the team. They have a no fraternization policy, which is where the forbiddenness to the romance starts, and he has to move out of his house because he has a stalker. Who his stalker is, we don't really find out to the very end. I didn't pick up on it. Like, I truly did not pick up on it. And I was so impressed. And I was thinking back and I was like, oh my gosh, all these breadcrumbs. I didn't really pick up on the breadcrumbs. I was so impressed with the way she wrote that stalking romantic suspense plot. But I really loved Brooklyn and Vincent. The third act conflict was not a third act breakup. It was a separation because of her job. The way they went about it was a very mature way of dealing with a very normal type of a situation where some people, they're going to have to separate because of jobs. And it's how you're going to deal with a long distance relationship. I really loved their romance. They started out as roommates because he moved in with her. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. They teased and tormented each other until they couldn't deny their feelings, and they got together, and they were not secret about it. And I really liked the one part where he was like, he was not going to fake date to get a sponsorship that he really wanted. He was not going to do that. And there was a point there where I thought that was where it was going to go, and it didn't. And I was like, oh, yay, okay. Because I like that, but it's overdone a lot. So I really love the characters. I really love the character development. Love the romance. The romance is so swoony. And I loved that suspense plot, and I loved how it all wrapped up. And 5 stars. So those are all the books that I rated for to 4.5 to 5 stars in the second half of October. And I read a lot, but I also DNF'd more than I usually do. So there's that. Let me know if you've read any of these. Let me know if you want to read any of these. Tell me what was your favorite book in the month of October. And if you made it this far in this video and you let me know that you're here, please leave me a jack-o'-lantern emoji, since tomorrow is Halloween, but you will see this on November 1st. So anyway, have a happy Halloween, and I will talk to you in my next video. And until next time, my friends, happy reading. Bye.